So, good afternoon, guys. So, yesterday was my birthday, and I am 51 years new. Yes, and I had a beautiful day. It was a blessing to see this new year of mine, and I'm so happy that I made it. I am 51, guys. So, this is a beautiful thing. And so, with that, I want to share with you. I wrote down some notes and stuff. I want to share with you, the time that I was in Egypt as my Moses story, So, if you don't know, Moses, um, he led the Israelites out of Egypt. He was chosen by God to lead the Israelites out of Egypt. So, Moses' first encounter with the Lord was at the burning bush. And during that time, God reveals to Moses to return to Egypt to lead the Israelites out of slavery and into the promised land. So that was Moses' first encounter with the Lord. The bush, the burning bush, was a manifestation of God's presence, making a turning point in Moses' life, setting him on a path of leadership and prophethood, right? So Moses was chosen by God to lead the Israelites out of Egypt into the land of promise. But unfortunately, Moses didn't make it to the promised land due to his anger and a little bit of his, disobedience to the Lord. So Moses didn't make it to the promised land. He was right there. He was right there. But unfortunately, he didn't make it to the promised land because of his anger, which disallowed him from making it into the promised land. So, years ago, like I said, I had a tumultuous upbringing. My life has not ever been easy. I've always had hardships in my life from the day I was born, literally. So, right, there was a point in time when I dealt with this person, this monster. This person was a monster. He literally had me living in hell. And I actually was in Egypt dealing with this person. Like my life was so tumultuous dealing with this guy. He had me living in turmoil. I had great unrest. The relationship with my oldest son, plummeted. It went downhill. It plummeted. It got so crazy because I allowed someone into my life that disrupted our peace, that disrupted our comfort, that disrupted who I am and how I was raising my sons. They disrupted it. And honestly, unfortunately, I wound up having my second son with this monster because he's a monster. He attacked me and all kind of things. So I wound up, having a child, out of this situation. And this is what made my life go even more downhill. So, soon as he entered into my life, I tried to be a fixer. I was trying to fix this person. I tried my best to help this person to get on their feet. I took this person in. I tried to, show this person the way of a better life, trying to be this person's friend, trying to help them turn their lives around and get their situation right, on the right path, so I can send them on their way, but that wasn't God's, that wasn't my assignment from God. He wasn't my appointed person. So for me to be helping, I was taking on a project with someone and I wasn't ordained to do so. And this is why, if you are dealing with people and you're trying to help somebody who doesn't want to be helped, and if God didn't appoint that person to you in your life to say, this is your appointed person to help this person get out of a whatever certain situation, stop trying to save these people who don't want to be saved. That's not our job. It's Jesus's job to save. And I didn't know the Lord at the time. I didn't know God like I know him now. I didn't have a relationship because I didn't have a church background. Wasn't raised in church. I didn't come to knowing God until, like I said, I was in my mid to late 30s. So when this guy came into my life, I was in my early 30s still. I dealt with him for a little while, and yeah, I thought I knew this person, but obviously I didn't. He was a wolf in sheep's clothing, literally. So he had my life turned upside down. I didn't know who I was dealing with, to be truthful. I didn't know how I was dealing with. I thought I was trying to help out a friend, but he turned instead to be a monster. So in all of my dealings, like my household went downhill. I lost relationships with friends, relatives, all that. My business that I had, I was a hairstylist. I was working from my home, and my business went downhill because he was a hater. He was jealous of me. He didn't want to, look after my son, our child. And, while I worked, he just made everything a living hell for me, literally. Okay? So I began to lose myself because, like I said, God was removing people out of my life. Things was going downhill. My son's relationship, just like I said, plummeted. He wound up leaving the home. I wound up having to deal with this monster on my own with a fairly newborn. My son was like about 6-7 months old, and I had no help, no family, nobody, and he was just making it worse and worse and worse. And I felt like I was losing my mind. I felt like I lost myself. I lost myself. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know if I was coming or going. He was such a gaslighter, a manipulator. He was a narcissist. He was such a liar. He was a thief. He did all kind of things to me. And here I am trying to help this person. I'm over here like, well, I'm really trying to give this person the benefit of the doubt. I really am. Because I just wanted to see him do good. But in the midst of me wanting to see him do good, he was tearing me down. He was breaking me to become less than, and just like him, a piece of sugar honey iced tea. Shit. Okay? And it was daggone just too hard on me. And then that's the third time. Remember, I told y'all guys in the past, there was 3 different occasions that I decided that I didn't want to be on this earth anymore. I decided to, I wanted to end my life. And that was the last time. And I did that. But this time, it landed me in the mental hospital. I was in the mental hospital. And, I was in a psych ward and everything. And my children were left by themselves. My oldest son, he was probably like 15 at the time, was kind of left taking care of his brother. And the father kept complaining, oh, you need to get out of here. Oh, I can't do this. Oh, I can't do that. And I didn't have anybody to take care of my kids, so that I can get the help while I was in there. And I had no choice but to get out. I was in there for a while. And then I had to get out because my kids, were suffering at the hands of the wrong people. So I had to do everything I could to get out. And I finally got out. And then I finally got up the strength after I got out. And he started to continue to keep trying to, make my life worse and miserable. And it just kept letting out like. So I just said, you know what? I had to kick him out for good. Because there was an incident that happened with my son, my second son. And that just, because of what I went through, because of what I endured when I was a kid, and nobody protected me. They wanted to protect the assailant. They wanted to protect the predator, the monster that did treacherous and heinous acts to me. I was not about to let that happen to mine. So I finally put my foot down and I said, you gotta go. And at this moment in my life, after I got out of the hospital, that's when God literally started to come. I found a church, to go to, and I was entering into church life at that moment. So I was still a babe. I wasn't really going to the church, as frequently, but I was talking to, an evangelist that was trying to help me, move into church life. So I was doing a lot of talking on the phone with her. And then she started to introduce me and show me how to read the Bible before I finally got into church. Then when I started to get into church, that's when stuff started to happen. Eyes started to open. The veil became lifted. I started to be able to see. And that's when I was like, whoa, he got to go. And I tell you no lie, when I finally put my foot down and said, no, you got to go, he lost his mind, literally. He lost his mind. And my life started to get even worse, as again, even more. You know, he started having people stalking me. He started vandalizing my car, trying to run me off the road. You know, he was doing all kind of things. He was ruining my home. I just had so much things going on with him, to where I seen this look in this person's eyes that I ain't ever seen before like that. And I knew I was dealing with a monster. And I was beyond fearful of my life and my son's lives. And then that's when I was like, you know what? No. Because this guy was really trying to take me out. He was trying to kill me. He was an influence of the devil, coming to kill, steal, and destroy. And he was really trying to kill me. He was trying to take me out. He was destroying my life, my sanity, my existence. He didn't want me here because he was so jealous of me. He was such a hateful person towards me. So, like how, you know, Moses was scared, but Moses had to take the Israelites. He had to do he had to do God's will and get them out. And God helped them and parted the Red Sea and got them over to the other land, so that then they could start their journey on to the promised land. But because of the complaints and the moaning and groanings of the Israelites, it took them 40 years before they crossed over to the promised land. And again, unfortunately, Moses didn't make it. He didn't make it with them. You know, his brother Aaron and Joshua had to take over and lead them into the promised land after he died. You know, but the Lord, because I was beginning to know him and I was beginning to eventually, slowly but surely, move into the church, the Lord was getting me out of my, you know, Egypt land. He was getting me out of the land of Egypt. He made a way. So what had to happen was I had to get a restraining order. And that was so hard because I had to deal with the courts. I had to deal with all that. And I'm not a fan. I've had such turmoil and trauma dealing with the court system. From the time I was a kid, you know, being in foster care and all these things and those types of traumas and, you know, unfortunate situations for me, I couldn't stand the court system. I can't stand the court system. So, but I had to bite the gun, because if not, I wouldn't be here today to tell you this story. So I wound up having to get a restraining order against him. And because he was doing all these things, he had people stalking me. He had people trying to run me off the road. He was doing all kind of heinous things to me. The judge was like, you know, when we went before the judge, and the judge was like, yeah, if you do anything to her, and if any of those goons, he said it just like that, if you got any of your goons, you know, touches her or do anything else to her car, to her property, to her sons, anybody, all of y'all are going to go to jail. So I suggest you stop it right now. The judge saw right through his BS. And the judge was like, you don't fool me. And the judge was looking at me. He was like, I know you put this woman through hell. I know you did. I can see it in your face. I'm looking in your eyes, and it's black. They're black. That's what he said. He said, and you better not do anything to this woman. And he was like, and now that I got a restraining order against you, you go out first. And when you go and you don't look back and you don't say nothing to this woman. And if I hear anything coming from her about you, you're going down. And he was trying to lie to the judge. And the judge was like, I don't believe it. The judge was like, you don't fool me. And the judge wound up having to apologize to me on his behalf. It wasn't the judge's fault, but the judge knew that I wouldn't have gotten a sincere apology from him. So the judge apologized. And then, it was such a relief. So once he got that restraining order, once I got that restraining order on him, it just gave me the opportunity to escape. That was like he parting the Red Sea and allowing me to make it through to the other side. And then once I got that restraining order, it was such a blessing, because then literally doors of opportunity started to open. And I wound up, literally doors of opportunity started to open. And I wound up, packing up my stuff. I found me an apartment. I got a truck and I had people move me. And me and my son, we moved in the early morning of, we moved early in the morning. And because I had a restraining order, him nor his friends or anybody wasn't able to stalk me. They wasn't able to track me down. They wasn't able to touch my belongings or any of that anymore. And then I moved over to my new apartment. And then when I moved over to that new apartment, I manifested that apartment. It was so beautiful. That was the time that I manifested my, double deck, 2-family apartment. And it was such a beautiful home. And it was just a lovely thing. And till this day, I ain't seen nor heard or whatever. The Lord blocked it, okay? When the Lord says he's going to do something, he's going to do it. The Lord blocked him. And it's been almost 20 years since I've had any dealings with this monster. Any dealings. And that's been my great escape. That restraining order helped me to escape over to the promised land. A land of freedom, a land of healing, a land of, renewing. And then where I was able to understand who I am. Because I was being so defined by other people, relatives, friends, boyfriends, people that I came across, that I didn't know myself. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know why I was on this earth. I didn't know where I belonged. I didn't fit in with anybody because I was always different. And I knew I was different and I didn't understand. Now I have great enlightenment. I have great strength and power. And I know who I am and whose I am. And I know for a fact that I will not ever let anybody again, ever, put me in that situation, in that predicament anymore. Not anyone. And that has been just like my freedom. I'm free. I have not ever been bound like that again. Ever. By anyone. And the weapons may form, but they're not prospering. There's been so many people thereafter that, like I was living in that place for like 8 years before I moved. And I only moved because the landlord sold the place and I had to. But that was a great thing. The Lord blessed me with a landlord. For the first time, I had a landlord that was actually a landlord. This man, he was a man of God. He was so great. He was an awesome landlord. He treated me the best ever that I've ever gotten in my life. And I mean that. And that was such a blessing to me. And the Lord has been just blessing me beautifully thereafter. And if it wasn't for, the Lord calling me out, placing me on solid ground, turning my life around, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here. I really wouldn't. I would either be dead, locked up, or in someone's mental institution and not having access or a relationship with my children. And that was his goal, because he didn't like me. And all this time I was dealing with somebody who did not like me, who did not want me here, who tried to literally take me out. He set me up to be sexually assaulted by his friends, his peers, and everything. And lied about it and having people trying to gang up on me, and no one didn't want to believe me and my story. Oh, he wouldn't do that. Oh, he's not like that because he got wool. He got the daggone blinders over them. He got them fooled and thinking that, oh, he's not capable of this. And because they are fooled to believing that he's not capable of this, he was able to get away with all these heinous things that he's done to me. Because they were in denial, or they were blinded, or because, oh, they thought they knew this person and they didn't know him at all. And they did not know him at all. And so, listen, I just wanted to share my story about being in Egypt. Because that was my Egypt story. Listen, God has been beyond good to me, and I'm sure he's been good to you. I know he has. Because guess what? You're here. He woke you up. And that's a blessing all in itself. So you too are blessed. So, and it is our job as people to, share the glorious works that the Lord has done. We're supposed to be sharing the Lord with people, telling people how great the Lord is, letting people know who God is through them, and helping them build a relationship with God themselves. So I'm hopeful that you guys will take heed. And if you don't have a relationship with the Lord, to get one, I'm going to always stress, get a relationship with the Lord if you don't have one. Because by my faith, right, and by me literally being sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired, I did something to change my life around. Because I was sick and tired. Because I didn't want to be here. If I tried 3 different times to not be on this earth because my life was so tumultuous for me, and I know God does not put more on us than we can bear, but for me it felt like it was too much. But if I can do it, I know you can do it. And God does not leave us nor forsake us. And he's waiting for us, for those of us who don't have a relationship with him. He's waiting for us to come to him because it's a choice. We have a choice. Either go to him or not. Have a relationship with him or not. We have a choice. Everything in this world is on choices. We are going to be making choices all our lives. But it's up to us to make the right choice pertaining to our lives. So, if you haven't already, I hope you choose to build and grow a relationship with the Lord. And I am no longer in Egypt. I am no longer in Egypt. I made it out. And I'm making it to the promised land. Okay? I'm making it to the promised land. I'm in it. I'm glorious. I'm victorious. I am more than a conqueror. What? I am a warrior and not a worrier. Okay? And I am grateful. And I made it to see 51 because if I would have done what I did, what I was trying to do and succeeded, I wouldn't be here to see 51. And I was in my 30s. So ain't God good? What? God is glorious. What? God is awesome. He's magnificent. Oh my goodness. Listen, he's so many things. It's like, if I had 10,000 tongues, I wouldn't be able to praise him enough. Okay? But I just wanted to share how I made it out of Egypt, y'all. I made it out of Egypt. And I can only pray that I will not ever return. Okay? So, if this resonated with you, I want to hear some comments in the section. Come on, comment, y'all. Let's hear your stories. But again, I am here. I am blessed to see 51. I had a great, joyous birthday. And, I pray for you to have a great and joyous, blessed day on today. Okay? So, like I said, thank you for watching. And I hope you have a blessed Sunday, okay? Until next time, guys. Blessings.